It's the afternoon of the 25th of November 1975, and tonight I'll be making my way to London's Hammersmith Odeon to see the boss, Bruce Springsteen. He's going to play his second ever UK concert. Bruce had played the Odeon 6 days earlier, and rumours abounded, all untrue, that he hadn't been very good. And the hype that surrounded him was just that. Hype. Tickets for the concert had been sold out for weeks, but I had two friends who, let's say, redirected tickets. Vic and Pete could get you in to any gig at any time. The rumour was they could have probably got you tickets to the Apollo moon landing if you'd have asked them nicely. 2 months earlier, in a record shop in London Soho, that iconic cover of Born to Run just leapt out at me, and I knew instantly that I just had to have that record. When I got home, my intuition turned out, as usual, to be spot on. It was absolutely brilliant, and tonight I just couldn't wait to see the man perform live. At about 8:45 p.m, Bruce just wandered onto the stage of Hammersmith Odeon. In jeans, a t-shirt and a much too large woolly hat. Roy Bittan joins him, sits down at the piano and starts playing. Bruce just shyly smiles at us all and pulls out an old harmonica from his back pocket and leads us straight into Thunder Road. And that's it. Just voice and piano, raw and naked. Everyone is stunned by the beauty, the majesty and sheer downright honesty of what we are witnessing. Somewhere in the shadows, Danny Frederici joins in on glockenspiel. Come on, take my hand, we're riding out tonight to case the promised land. Tonight we'll be free and all the promises will be broken. As the song finishes, there's a couple of seconds of silence and then the applause is deafening. Bruce smiles at us and knows that was just brilliant. He also knows that in just a few minutes he's won us all over. The rest of the band troop on looking like they've come straight from the set of Scorsese's Mean Streets. And then they go straight into the irrepressible 10th Avenue Freeze-Out. Wow, can this band rock? The rhythm section of Gary Talent and Max Weinberg are as tight as they come, and they provide a solid backbone for the rest of the band. When asked one time about the meaning of this song, Bruce just shrugged his shoulders and went, hell, I don't know. So you have Danny Frederici on organ, Roy Bittan, the Professor, on piano, Miami, Steve Van Zandt on guitar, and the big man himself, Mr. Clarence Clemons, on sax. The album version of 10th Avenue Freeze-Out boasts a wonderful horn section, consisting of both Michael and Randy Becker and David Sanchez, among others. Are they needed here? Hell no. Mr. Clemons and that sound he's getting out of that single sax is just colossal. Bruce is everywhere, covering every inch of that stage. He's dancing, he's directing, he's strutting, and when he leans into Clarence and sings When the Change is Made Uptown and the big man joined the band, and they recreate that iconic Born to Run cover, the whole place goes absolutely nuts. During Spirits in the Night, the part where Hazy Davy runs into the lake in just his socks and a shirt, there's a single spotlight on Bruce as he crawls across the stage and exits over the side of the stage on the left. Everyone is on their feet. What's happened? Is he hurt? No. A couple of seconds go by and Bruce's head pops up and proceeds to sing the next verse with just his head visible. It's pure theatre, but great theatre. And somehow the lines are blurring. We're becoming no longer paying customers watching a band. We're just all there in the Hammersmith Odeon having one hell of a party. Another song follows from Bruce's first album, Greetings from Asbury Park, and it's Lost in the Flood. And I remember thinking, if only those wonderful songs on that album had been better recorded, Bruce would have been a superstar long before 1975. She's the One follows with its Bo Diddley, not fade away riff. That 5 accent beat here in concert, sounding like it's been dredged up from the Mississippi Delta via Africa and Cuba. Things slow down then, and we are learning that Bruce is an expert at light and shade. Bring things right down and then take it up a notch again. Danny starts to play a very familiar melody on the organ. Pretty Flamingo? It can't be. If it is, it's a song I've loved since my teens. The band join in, and then Steve Van Zandt takes over that melody on slide guitar. Bruce then tells the story of this girl who used to walk past his house every day. He and Steve would watch her pass by, but they never had the courage to ask her what her name was. But they had a name for her. You guessed it. Pretty Flamingo. Yes, it's pure hokum, but it's brilliant hokum. It was the first time I'd heard Bruce do a cover of anything. And as he was to do throughout all these years, he always treats the original with reverence and respect, and adds just that little something of his own. Whether it be War, Staying Alive, Rebel Rebel, or the hundreds and hundreds of songs he's covered over all these years, he always does it with reverence and respect. And watching him up there on stage tonight, one thing is very obvious. Bruce wants everybody in that concert hall to have just as much fun as he and the band are having. One thing I found out later, that during every sound check, Bruce will check out the sound all over the auditorium, making sure that everyone who has bought a ticket gets the best experience possible. Show a little faith, there's magic in the night. Growing up, and it's hard to be a saint in the city, flyby, with Bruce driving the band on to produce one great performance after another, every member of the band playing out of their skins. Then there's silence, and the professor starts playing the greatest piano intro known to man. And here comes Backstreets, and the E Street Band take it up another level. This version is as raw and visceral as it gets, Bruce seemingly dredging every word up from the depths of his soul. When the breakdown hit at midnight, there was nothing left to say, and I hated him and I hated you when you went away. No words left, Bruce lets go a primal scream of rage, pain and loss, and when that is spent, he wrenches the notes out of that battered old Fender Esquire. When the song finally comes to a finish, everyone in the Hammersmith Odeon is on their feet applauding. The future of rock and roll? Yes, he's standing right in front of me. A fun little romp through Shalala, and then we have Bruce's magnum opus, his West Side Story, Jungleland. And just when you think they can't get any better, they do. But this one belongs to Mr. Clarence Clemons. Great musicians for me are not always the most technically proficient guys, or the ones who have flash and can play a million notes a minute. It's the musicians that have soul and feel and can translate that into their playing. You won't find many sax solos that get close to the big man's phrasing and sheer lyrical, poetical brilliance here. Any sax player will tell you, to pull this off, you've got to have massive lungs, and as they say, lots and lots of air. Rosalita is up next, and now everyone is up on their feet, dancing. And when security try and stop people dancing in the aisles and push them back into their seats, Bruce shouts and tells them in no uncertain terms, leave them alone, let them dance, they paid their money. When Bruce was making the transition from his group Steel Mill to the E Street Band, one thing he wanted above all others was to sound like Van Morrison. Back in the early to mid-70s, grumpy old Van was at his imperious best. Go check out the album, the live album, It's Too Late to Stop Now. Yes, Van's influence is all over that stage tonight. Sandy is up next, and Bruce takes us back to the heydays of Asbury Park, with its bars, casino, boardwalk and endless bands playing those top 40 hits, and Lost Love. All of this, and there's still another 8 songs to go. I can't remember exactly when the encore started, but I do know by the end of the night they had played 7. And from here on in, the E Street Band live up to Bruce's wish by becoming the biggest and best bar band in the world. You get Elvis's Wear My Ring Around Your Neck, a Detroit medley, The Searchers, When You Walk in the Room, Gary U.S. Bond's Quarter to Three, Twist and Shout, and Chuck Berry's Carol and Little Queenie. It's a rock and roll roller coaster. The only let up in this ride is when Bruce steps up to the piano to deliver a solo version, an epic solo version of For You. And then it was all over. No matter how hard we cheered and stamped our feet, the house lights stayed on and we trooped outside. We sadly trooped outside. The trains had all gone, so I walked the 10 miles home, arriving at something like 4 o'clock in the morning. But did I care? Not at all. One last thing, that night Steve Van Zandt was superb. His guitar playing, his vocals, just absolutely brilliant. Perfect right-hand man for Bruce. So 8 years later, I turned up to the Hammersmith Palais to watch Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul. And it was like the Springsteen concert, part 2. They blew the roof off the place. I don't think I've ever danced so much in my life. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Bruce went on to conquer the world and become a rock legend. But that night, back in 1975, was something very, very special. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. But above everything else, please stay safe, stay well, and take good care of yourselves.